I can serve you good from the beginning, but don't trust me good in the end. And humanity have accepted that the end don't deserve good. So the marriage began with hugs, with kiss, with have you eaten breakfast, afternoon calling. Then the good kept coming until at a point in time, we realized that we are in the latter part, and the latter part does not deserve the good. There are people who offered their good from the beginning of the time they were employed. And after 2 years into the employment, they started to offer their worst, and they justified it that no one gives good at the end. We only give the worst at the end. If you are dealing with Jesus, when it comes from what must come from you to him, he expects best from beginning, best at the end. This is why our problem with him lies. When we feel we have prayed too much, we can't be praying like that again. When everything about us is I used to fast, I used to pray, I used to be committed, I used to serve Jesus, I used to go to church on time, I used to evangelize. That was giving your good at the beginning. So he told the church of Ephesus in Revelation chapter 2, he said that go back from where you fell. Go back to your first love. That is, go and offer me the good you began. Your first love, go and pick it up. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, they have no wine. It's finished. Let me jump to verse 7. Jesus said unto them, fill the water pots with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he said unto them, draw out now and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bared. When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast called the bridegroom and said unto him, every man at the beginning doeth set forth good wine. And when men have well drunk, then that which is worse. But thou hast kept the good wine until now. So there are three most important factors in this wonderful marriage experience. The first one is the time Jesus stepped in and Jesus coming through. The second one is the wine. And the third one is the perception of the governor and the master of the wedding. And the time Jesus stepped in was closing time. And when he stepped in, what actually made it a ceremony was finished, the wine. And then he did a miracle and converted water to wine. And then the mindset of the master of the ceremony is where my problem lies. Do you know he didn't request for wine? It was Jesus that sent it to him. Jesus told the servants, go and give to him. Because at the time that he was talking, he has a perception about ceremonies. He said that everybody said good wine from the beginning and reserved the worst for the end. Why have you brought the best at the end? And that was a deep perception about men. He was okay that the good wine must start from the beginning. And it's very much okay that the end deserves the worst. And that shows us the character of men. I can serve you good from the beginning, but don't trust me good in the end. Don't trust that I can offer you in the end. And humanity have accepted that the end don't deserve good. The master and the governor of the ceremony spoke with this sense of justification. Good, whether it is good wine, good character, good behavior, good mannerism, good gestures, good offers. It is justifiable to give it, and it is justifiable to give the worst at the end. And he was actually revealing the very nature of humanity that we can't deny. Because everything we are into now, we gave the good from the beginning and we launched the worst at the end. And we fought and justified it. So the marriage began with hugs, with kiss, with have you eaten breakfast, afternoon calling. Then the good kept coming until at a point in time, we realized that we are in the latter part, and the latter part does not deserve the good. There are people who offered their good from the beginning of the time they were employed. And after 2 years into the employment, they started to offer their worst, and they justified it that no one gives good at the end. We only give the worst at the end. The master of the ceremony was not speaking any weird thing. He was telling us the nature of humanity. Most of our good communication act is always in the beginning of the relationship, and we reserve the worst for the latter. Most of our good respectful act is in the beginning, and we reserve the worst for the end. So sometimes if you meet somebody, tell the person, how long have you been in this? And you'll know the reason why he's not giving his best, because it's a law in the human nature that we don't give our best to where you have stayed for long. So have you not realized that even in our church setting, those who come fresh gives the good, and those who have been around for long wait and tell them that say, oh, bye and see you now. Munyano, Nansiano, Oba, Enche, Obeseya, Nerashi Nina, Obichai. And that prophecy never fails because humans are destined to give the worst at the end. This is what people don't know when they enter into marriages, relationship, to businesses, to ministry, and they start to curse people. People always present the good at the beginning and they reserve the worst for the end. But that's the difference between men and God. But the man called the groom, the master of the ceremony called the groom and told the groom that, hey, why have you reserved the best wine for the latter? No man does that. No man does that. Then the groom was confused because he didn't know. The Bible says only the servants knew. Because he himself has provided the worst for the end. So for him, he didn't only provide the worst, he provided nothing for the end. Because by the time they got the wine is finished. So his worst was not that bad wine. His worst was no wine. There are two differences in the worst. We have the bad wine and the no wine. At the end. But we have shege with substance and shege with no substance. Call no job so once in a week, twice in a week. But shege with no substance. 3 months now I'm saying. Worse, but we have bad wine and no wine. Our end on new team, Nanso Bois, money Nubenya, Nanso and so na beso ma force. A conso de macra, but on Pilbeam, on Pow, the war partners of Casimijai. See that this guy's own was the second dimension of West. No wine. But the master of ceremony calls him and tell him that, hey, why did you reserve the best wine for the last? Then he said, I have not provided anything. That was what he said in his mind. But he must show the man that he's in charge of the ceremony. So he said, oh, okay, that's who I am. I am excellent from beginning to end. I am disciplined from beginning to end. Oh, boy, so be diligent from beginning to the end. You see, diligence can be 6 months, but oh, boy, after 6 months, be kakratel. I'm one who say human beings don't give their best to the end. But the moment God, the person of Jesus stepped in, that was when they realized that there is another who has interest in the end as he has interest in the beginning. That's Jesus. And he served the best without revealing his identity. Whilst we give the good from the beginning and give the worst at the end, Jesus gives the best in the beginning and gives the best at the end. If you are dealing with Jesus, this is the two dimensions. If you are dealing with Jesus, when it comes from what must come from you to him, he expects best from beginning, best at the end. Because what he offers best in the beginning, best in the end. That is why you must die to self in order to walk with him. And one of the things, the reason why you must die to self is this reason. Because the way you started with him, you must end either better than that or the same way. This is where our problem with him lies. When we feel we have prayed too much, we can't be praying like that again. When everything about us is I used to fast, I used to pray, I used to be committed, I used to serve Jesus, I used to go to church on time, I used to evangelize. That was giving your good at the beginning. So he told the church of Ephesus in Revelation chapter 2, he said, go back from where you fell. Go back to your first love. That is, go and offer me the good you began. Your first love. Go and pick it up. I'm leading you somewhere. Jesus is willing to offer you the best at the end of July, like he promised to offer you at the beginning. That act of Jesus defied the ideology of men, that anything for the last, anything goes for the last. He said the end of a thing is better than the beginning. That is how God thinks. That is how Jesus thinks. So anytime you are ending a month, you should know the God you deal with, that he has a best for the end. He has a good for the end. He has the better for the end. So what didn't work in the beginning will work in the end. Amen. Because our God have great respect for the end. He has great respect. Jesus came at the end and provided the best at the end to make an announcement to us that I value the end as I value the beginning. I value the end as I value the beginning. I do good in the end as I do good in the beginning. Men close the chapter at the end, but God tells you that the end is even better. Yes. I'm encouraging you for these 24 hours that is ahead of us, that somebody can launch from the hands of the Lord something good, that people begin to ask, why did this breakthrough come at this time? And you yourself, but what you don't know is that Jesus has come into the scene. I believe it so strongly that he is willing to do much with you when you are 87, 90 years, like he's willing to do with you when you are 15 years old. The end is also important to him as the beginning. Be ready for the end move of the Lord. Be ready
Oh, Jesus.
for the end move.
I'm ready.
I lived at the end as I lived in the beginning. I prosper at the end as I prosper in the beginning. Don't give up at the end. Men expect worse. Men expect disappointment. Men expect death at the end. Men expect closure at the end. Men expect shutting of the door at the end. But God gives the best wine at the end. God gives the life at the end. God gives the promotion at the end. God gives. You are going to join me in prayer.
Oh, Jesus.
That I don't expect the worst.
I don't expect the worst.
I expect the best.
I expect the best.
As it was in the beginning.
As it was in the beginning.
I expect it today.
I expect it today.
I expect it today.
I expect it
I
today.
expect it today.
I expect it
I
today.
expect the best.
I expect the
I
best.
expect the best.
I expect
I
the best.
expect the best.
I